Good day. The title of this particular training series is called It Ain't Easy. Today we're going to discuss the hardest plays in volleyball. Here's the agenda for today's presentation. We're going to talk about touches off the block that immediately go out of bounds, take versus touch following an attack, and pancake plays. Again, this particular training series will dive into the three most difficult and challenging plays for volleyball officials: touch or no touch off the block, take versus touch following an attack, and pancake plays. Our first topic: touches or no touches off the block.
If you were with us for the previous match, Nebraska has such great defensive specialists. The same thing for Kentucky. Eleanor Bevan and Molly Tuzzo are incredible. Here comes Cartwright, saved by Emma Grome. Brooklyn delay, too much on the angle, and it's a point for Arkansas.
Do you remember the last attack on this play that went out of bounds? That attack and the attempted block is indicative of the challenges of this particular type of play. The speed and velocity of the volleyball is not affected. Sometimes the speed and the velocity of the volleyball does not change, and sometimes the direction of the volleyball does not change, even if the ball is touched. In this case, the very last attack was not touched by the blockers for Arkansas. You saw prior to the last attack, the prior two attacks were touched by the cornstarting blockers of the defense. And you saw how the speed and the velocity as well as the direction of the volleyball changed. Another challenge with these types of plays are the viewing distance of the volleyball. Sometimes balls that are further away from us can be harder to detect if they're touched, especially if the speed and the velocity and the direction do not change in any manner. If the ball is touched by, let's say, fingertips, and there are multiple hands around the volleyball, your viewing distance of the ball, your viewing of the volleyball could be obstructed, and if the ball is far away from you, your viewing distance of the volleyball could prove to be an obstruction as well. Let's look at another play.
It's a chess match.
To Jillian Gillen. But a touch is called. Point for Arkansas.
It's so fast.
Yeah.
Do you see how fast?
This play is indicative of some of the challenges of these plays. Because the last attack was near the antenna table side, and the touch of the volleyball was so far away from the first referee and line judge one, sometimes that presents a challenge to accurately determine whether the ball is touched or not touched off the block. The ball was also moving away from our second line judge, who was on the table side. So notice on this particular play, the information that came to inform the first referee that the ball was touched came from our second referee, who had the best view and the closest distance of the volleyball being touched by the blockers. Again, this play is indicative of some of the challenges of this particular type of play. So here's how we can meet the challenge. Our first referee should trail the ball off the hands of the attacker. This gives the first referee the potential to be able to see the ball potentially contacting the blocker's hands. The second referee should focus at the top of the net to see the potential contact of the ball by the blockers. Our line judges should take a sit-down stance prior to the attack. Line judges should focus at the top of the net to see the potential contact of the ball by the blockers. Touches are generally easier to see by people looking up at or the side of the touches while looking up at them as opposed to looking down at the touches. This means our touches will be a little easier to see by our second referee, both our line judges, players, coaches, and fans who are sitting floor side. Touches are often challenging for our first referee because quite often our first referee from his or her stand are looking down at the contact. Let's talk about tape versus touch following an attack.
And he said, we talk a lot about what if scenarios. What if we're 3-7? What if we're 2-6? How are we going to handle that? And this group was able to figure it out.
Well, Johnny Taylor will tell you, as an upperclassman, they were tested as leaders.
So here are some potential challenges with these type of plays. The speed and velocity of the volleyball, of course. If the blocker's hands are above the top of the net or in the opponent's space above the net, that can sometimes present an obstruction as much as it can present an assist. And oftentimes the sound of the volleyball coming off the tape in the blocker's hands will sound very, very similar, especially when the volleyball is coming off either at a high rate of speed. Let's take a look at another play.
Action. A 5'7" outside hitter who can jump out of the gym. Aaron Lamb down the line. Nice save by Hogue. Regan Rutherford.
And another point for Arkansas. Arkansas is serving Kentucky in a rotation.
Again, sometimes in these types of plays, speed and velocity of the volleyball can be a challenge. If the blocker's hands are above the top of the net or in the opponent's space above the net, they can serve as much of an instruction as they can of a help or an assist. And oftentimes the sound of the volleyball coming off the tape in blocker's hands at a high rate of speed, the sound will be virtually the same or very similar. In this particular play, because the blocker's hands were not above the top of the net or in the opponent's space at the time that the ball hit the tape, it is very easy to discern that the ball was not touched by our defense and that we have a 4 hits violation. So here's how we can meet this particular challenge. Our first referee should trail the ball off the hands of the attacker, because if we do so, we'll be able to see the ball's next point of contact, either off the hands of a blocker, the fingers of the blocker, or the tape. The second referee should focus on the top of the net and the hands of the blocker. Again, if we do so, we'll be able to see the ball's next contact, either the hands or fingers of the blocker or the tape. Our line judges, as always, should take a sit-down stance prior to the attack. Line judges should focus at the top of the net to see the potential contact of the ball by the blockers. Tape versus touch is a team effort between the first and second referees. Let's talk about pancake plays.
Jason Watson, our head coach, told us she's had to become really resilient because they're just going to continue to set her. So she has to figure it out if it's not working. But she's gotten so good at that. And the kill by Aaron Lamb. Jason.
So here are some of the challenges that come with pancake plays. Your viewing distance of the play. If teammates are surrounding the player attempting to make the play, teammates could possibly obstruct our view. If the pancake play is moving further away from you. So if we have a young lady or young man diving for the ball and stretching their hand and arm out in order to save the ball from contacting the floor, and they're moving away from you, it is very likely that their body could be an obstruction, and deciding on the down ball or good pancake play in less than a second is always challenging. Let's look at another play.
Knowing that they like to set Teeler in transition.
Rutherford with the tip. Courtney Jackson is there. Court right. Off hands and off of Bevan.
And that's a swing I want to see to score the point. You want to be aggressive against this Kentucky team. Watch this ball. It starts with the pancake. Courtney Jackson gets under it. And then Taylor Head goes across the court where Maggie Cartwright gets there to score.
In this particular play, we had a good pancake play and a good save by Arkansas. The play was near our second referee and within eyesight of our second line judge. Notice that the viewing distance of the play for our first referee and our first line judge was very far. That is a challenge in these types of plays. Sometimes teammates obstructing the view of the play could be a potential challenge. We already discussed that the play being a far distance away from you is also a challenge. And these plays are always challenging, deciding on the down ball or good pancake play in a second or less. So here's how we can meet this challenge. Line judges should walk up the sideline as soon as they see a tip attack followed by a defensive player hustling and beginning to dive to the floor. Line judges should focus on the hands of the defensive player so as to see whether the hand beats the ball to the floor and whether the ball's contact touches any part of the floor. Second referees should stay on the new offensive side as soon as they see what we mentioned prior. If again we have a tip attack following the defense reacting to tip attack with potential running, jogging, and diving to the floor, our second referee should stay on the defensive side, soon to be the new offensive side. Like line judges, the second referee should have the same focus on the hands and whether the hands beats the ball to the particular spot. Both line judges and second referees will give a down signal to the first referee only if the pancake play is unsuccessful. If the pancake play is successful, we give nothing and go back to our normal positions. The first referee should treat these plays as American football fumble plays. It is better to let the play continue if there is not 100% certainty that the ball is down. You can always go back and correct it if the ball is down when you meet with your fellow officials. Remember, because we as first referees are looking down on these particular contacts, they are often hard to see. But similar to our second referees and line judges, we look for the hand to beat the ball to the floor and make what we hope is an accurate ruling. So these three plays are the most challenging plays in all of volleyball for officials. These plays being touches or no touches off the block, tape versus touch following the attack, and pancake plays. It takes a team effort from all of our officials to make accurate rulings on these plays. We hope that this presentation has given you some great tools and insight that will assist you in making accurate ruling on these particular plays. We thank you for spending part of your day or night with us. We hope this training presentation was helpful, educational, and insightful for you. Have a great day, a great week, a great month, a great year, a great season.